So now, since there's a lot known about Season 20 already, and we're, I think, like less than a week away, there are some pretty massive changes coming to every legend in the game, with every legend getting a buff in some way. Although some legends are getting better buffs than others. With the release of perks, I think there is going to be so much better legend variety in the meta, that characters who are once seen as pretty bad are actually going to be good now. So before I start, I will say that I kind of base my opinions around more of a competitive perspective, but I think overall this tier list will kind of apply to ranked and pubs too. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to go in order from what they are shown down here, and we start with Wattson, and without a doubt an S tier legend in Season 20. And I would even say she is getting the best perks out of every legend in the game. Wattson was already always good because she is the only legend in the game that pretty much can anti-utility using her gen. But now her gen is just getting so much stronger. Now, I don't want to say every legend's perks they're getting in Season 20 because every legend is getting the choice between 2 of 4 total. And that would take way too long to do in this video. So I'm going to name the things that I think are good about these legends perks. I'm not really going to cover the ones I feel are just really basic. So for Wattson, the perks you are going to find really insane in Season 20 is 1. There is a perk where if you have your gen down and people throw utility at you, it will eat their utility, then spawn an arc star. So say someone throws a frag grenade at your gen and it eats it, it'll spawn an arc star on the floor around you. And this is like an arc star you can pick up and throw back. So if you're just inside somewhere and you're getting spam utilitied out, you are just going to have infinite arc stars spawning at your feet that you can use to fight back with. And if you play Apex even just a decent amount, you know how impactful grenades are. The other 2 really good perks for her is 1, you could have your generator have double its health, so it'll take double the amount of damage to destroy it. And it'll also have double the healing capacity, so you can get 500 shield out of your Wattson gen instead of 250. Or if you don't want that perk, you can choose to have 2 gens down at the same time. So basically one perk is going to make your shield economy way better, and the other will make it so you can hold way more space with Wattson. Both of those perks are really insane, so I could see going either way with those. And the whole eating utility to spawn arc stars under you, that is also insane. I think Wattson will be one of the best legends of Season 20. Next up, we have Ashe, and I am sorry to say to the Ashe mains, but she is still going to be pretty bad. Her perks are basically just slight buffs to her passive or tactical. Like, one of them is just hold 2 more tethers, or not 2, but 2 total tethers. So instead of throwing 1, you can throw 2. But I think what Ashe lacks is a better portal, and that's what keeps her out of the meta, and her portal is not getting touched at all. So I am just throwing her in C tier because she's still not like the worst legend in the game by any means, but I just don't think the perks she got were what were needed. And with that being said about Ashe, we are putting Ballistic right next to Ashe because his are basically the same thing. Like one of them is you can have 2 smart bullets, or the smart bullet will stay on the ground longer. And you can see the amount of ammo someone has in their box. Like overall, just pretty useless stuff that I don't think is going to make these legends really any better in Season 20 in comparison to some of the perks the other ones are getting. Now, moving on to Bangalore, I still think she is going to be an S tier legend because if you guys don't know, Digis will no longer be allowed on SMGs. And if you ask me, that is a buff to Bangalore and not a nerf. The thing I feel always sucked the most about Bangalore is smoking a team to try to block their LOS, and they have Digis. So basically now your smoke did more for them than it did for you. But now with these changes to Digi and SMG, I feel like her smokes are going to be even more impactful. Also, one of her perks is like a 25% ultimate cooldown reduction. So you're going to get her ultimate faster, and Bangalore just has one of the best ultimates in the game without a doubt. So she's basically just the way she is now, but going to be better. And she was already S tier, so she's going to stay S tier. Now, moving on to Bloodhound, I kind of struggled thinking about Bloods, but it's definitely B or A. You could argue either one. But some of Bloodhound's perks I could think of off the top of my head are 1, when you knock someone while in your ult, you'll get 25 HP back. And another, I believe, was you can make your scan last longer. I feel like both of those are just good, but I wouldn't say those are insane or anything to the point where I feel like they're just such major perks where Blood is an immediate S tier. I don't know, you could argue either way, but I still think there is legends who are getting other perks again. Now, moving on to Catalyst, I think she was already basically S tier, but her perks are also some of the best perks in the game. So, she was S tier, and she's gonna stay S tier. One perk is you can throw her spikes way further, which is basically kind of like old Catalyst. And another is you could have 3 spikes down. So again, basically old Catalyst. And then the other two are you could make your wall 27% longer, which is insane. Her wall is already so long as is. The ability to make it even longer is kind of crazy. And then also the other one was you can reduce the cooldown on your wall so it comes back faster. Personally, I would always go with the longer wall. But with Catalyst already being such a good character, her perks are honestly kind of insane too. So she's also going to stay in S tier for Season 20. On to Caustic. I am going to give Caustic a C tier because I feel like his perks are very underwhelming. I mean, really, the only notable ones are you can throw your tactical further, but I can't think of many scenarios where you just want to be absolutely whipping your tacticals across the map regardless with Caustic, so I don't see it really having much impact. And then another is you can heal inside your gas. But I feel like getting a slow heal over time in your gas, the only time your gas is really going to be going off is when you're fighting, and a slow heal is basically going to have no impact. So, unfortunately, Caustic mains, you're getting an L in Season 20. Now, with Conduit, I would say she's like A to S right now, and in Season 20, I don't think her perks are like insane, but I think they're just enough to probably put Conduit in S tier. The notable perk for Conduit is going to be that she could have 2 charges at once, but I believe it's at half the shield. So Conduit's tactical will basically be able to heal a blue armor, but you can use this on 2 teammates at the same time. I think instead of getting 1 teammate to full, I think being able to get both your teammates healed mid-fight is going to be way more impactful. So if Conduit wasn't already S tier, I think that perk alone was what she needed to push her to S tier. Now moving on to Crypto. His notable perk is the EMP is going to be way bigger. It's like the size of a football stadium. You could roll up with Crypto and basically EMP all of Skyhook if you wanted to. And I'm going to put Crypto in A tier purely because I believe we might see way more Wattsons because I think she has the best perks of the season. And as you know, the best counter in the game to Wattson is probably Crypto. So naturally, just based on the meta in Season 20 that I'm expecting, I think Crypto will be in A tier at the very least. Moving on to Fuse, I am going to give him A tier as well because I think his perks are pretty solid. And if you're a movement player, Fuse is getting some weird movement, but you'll see what I'm saying. So Fuse's 2 notable perks are 1, when you ult, you're basically allowed to run through it. You won't get slowed by your ult anymore if you choose to run through your fire. And it's going to hit you for way less damage to run through your fire. So now if you ult people and get them stuck inside your ring, you can actually be aggressive on your own ult. And the other perk was if you hit someone with a knuckle cluster, you will get double time. So basically imagine Bangalore speed boost right now, but on Fuse. Anytime you hit someone with a knuckle, you are zooming. So I think Fuse is just going to be so aggressive. And considering he already was, and I feel like he was already a good but underrated legend, I think at the very minimum he's going to be an A tier in Season 20. Moving on to Gibby, I don't think Gibbies are that insane. If you're a shotgun crutch, Gibby will become better. But if you don't crutch shotguns, then I still don't really see a point in running Gibby. But I think B tier is fine. Like, he'll be decent. Like, one of his perks is, I believe, on knock. So if you knock someone, it'll auto-reload all shotguns. And another is, like, you can make your bubble smaller, but reduce the cooldown so you get it back faster. Or, I believe one was, you can make your bubble bigger. I don't think making the bubble bigger or smaller or changing cooldown is really going to affect Gibby's place in the meta. And same with reloading shotguns, but he'll be better with shotguns, to say the least. Moving on to Horizon, basically all her perks are just kind of like cooldown reductions. But Horizon was already S tier, and getting shorter cooldowns just keeps her in S tier. Nothing exciting, she's just still going to be broken. That's about it. Moving on to Lifeline, her perks are kind of wild. Like, I don't know how to feel about them, but on paper, they sound really good. The 2 notable perks I would say with Lifeline is 1, you will be able to self-revive on Lifeline. I mean, self-reviving in itself is pretty insane, but it is a perk that only gives you value at the cost of already being downed, which is not a scenario you want to be in. So that's kind of 50-50. But the perk that I think really can make Lifeline good is you can turn her ultimate into a game drop care package. What this means is you could get a care package weapon out of Lifeline's ult. So like Kraber, Wingman, anything like that basically. And I think all the guns in the care package have insane impact. So with that, honestly, I'm giving Lifeline A tier purely because of that ultimate change. But we'll have to wait and see how it looks in Season 20. She might be lower, but she might also even end up in S tier because of that ult. So we will wait and see how that goes. Moving on to Loba, I am just giving B tier because I think her stuff is kind of basic. It's kind of like quality of life things in a way. One is either you can extend the range of your black market or you can take 3 items instead of 2. And the other perks are basically just buffs to your bracelet. Like you can throw it further and higher. So it's not like it's really changing any impact of fighting with her. But if you're a Loba main, you're not going to complain of these changes. You're just going to like Loba a little more. Don't think she'll have any change in the meta though. Moving on to Mad Maggie, I'm a fan of her perks, to be honest. One is that when your Wrecking Ball explodes, it'll throw thermites on the floor. So it's basically just making an already annoying ult to get hit by even more annoying because now it's going to have thermites. And another one is gain another charge for your riot drill. So you'll have 2 drills instead of 1. And I believe it was either you could choose either 2 drills or you could make your drill go a little deeper. So it'll have more depth that I could hit people from. But I don't believe that's really going to have anywhere near as much impact as a second drill will. But I think Maggie will be pretty solid if you're someone who likes to fight. So I am going to put her in A tier and we'll just see how that ends up playing out. On to Mirage. Mirage is going to be so weird where I don't even know where I could put him here. Because I think if you get the right player on Mirage, he could be so good in anything outside of competitive. One perk is you can gain an extra decoy to your ultimate, which that one is pretty useless. And I believe another one was that you could, every time someone shoots one of your ultimate decoys, it'll give you your tactical back immediately. So you could basically just be spamming tacticals after you use your ultimate. So if you're fighting someone, they're going to have no idea where you are. And another good one I feel like with him is when you revive teammates, it'll give them HP regen over time. So with Mirage, as you know, you revive your teammates invisibly and you also keep some invisibility for a short time even after getting up. So being invisible and healing at the same time, I could see being really good in the right hands. So I'm going to give Mirage B, but I honestly think it's just going to depend on who is playing him. Now, Newcastle, I think he's A tier personally because I think the meta may move more towards shotguns with the whole Digi nerf with SMGs. And if we get a more shotgun meta, Newcastle with his shields are just going to make shotguns really good. So I'm giving him A tier purely based on kind of getting a shotgun meta, but his perks are basically just everything about his abilities are going to be the same, but they're going to be a little stronger. So one is you can make your ultimate's energized barrier last 2 minutes, and then also his ult will have more HP. And another perk is you can make your mobile shield move at sprint speed. So if you play Newcastle now, his shield moves very slowly. But in Season 20, you'll be able to make it go just as fast as you can sprint, which I think is a huge quality of life. And the other cool one is teammates who revive will regen HP over time. So nothing insanely fundamentally changing about his kit, but I think it's just a lot of quality of life, and I think he will fit a shotgun meta very well. So for that, I am just going to keep him in A tier. Moving on to Octane, I don't think his perks were that good. I don't even think Octane is that good now, so I'm putting him in C tier. The only 2 real notable perks with Octane are when you stim, you will lose less HP, so it's going to be kind of like old Octane. And the other notable one was whichever direction you're looking on your second jump off a jump pad, that's the direction you will go. So basically, if you're a controller player, you will get like tap strafe for free. If you're an M&K player, I don't think that double jump is going to mean basically anything to you. So overall, Octane really not changing at all. The only good thing is if you're a controller who wants to feel like they can kind of tap strafe, and that's about it. Now, Pathfinder, a legend that I was hoping would become meta again for like 15 seasons now. Finally, I feel like he has a chance. I'm giving Pathfinder A tier, and it's because I feel like his perks are really good. With his perks, you will have the choice to either hit the Survey Beacon or the Ring Console Beacon. So immediately that means you don't have to run a Recon or a Controller Legend if you want Beacon info. I think that's huge immediately to give another class passive to Pathfinder. And then the other 2 that I feel are very good, which are all of his perks to be honest. One is your grapple will reset on a knock. So if you grapple in and knock somebody, you will have your grapple again immediately so you can get out right away if you have to. I think if you're an insane Pathfinder player, he is going to be such a good entry fragger in Season 20. And the other perk is you will take 25% less damage when on zipline. And by that, I mean his zipline, not like just any zipline in the game. But I think that'll give you way more chance to be able to kind of zip in front of people and not die for it. Because you're getting a better fortified. I like Pathfinder in A tier because I think all 4 of his perks are actually going to be very solid. On to Rampart, I'm giving her B because I feel like base Rampart is honestly not that bad. I just don't think she's insane either. But really, I feel like her only notable changes with her perks is basically you can pull out and charge up your Sheila a little stronger. So if you're someone who dies trying to charge up the Sheila mid-fight, you're going to have that happen way less now. Like, it actually might be a viable gun to pull out mid-fight. But other than that, really nothing insane with her, so I'm just calling it good at B tier. Revenant, I believe, is in A tier. I don't want to put him S because I feel like everyone in S has better perks than he does. And Revenant's only notable perk is kind of similar to Pathfinder's. Say you pounce in on somebody with Revenant and you knock them, I believe you'll get your pounce again back immediately. That's the only one that really stood out to me as being good, but Revenant's already good, so we just put him A tier. Now with Seer, I'm putting him B, but I think Seer may even become a better Bloodhound. We'll have to wait and see. But Seer's 2 notable ones are you can make your tactical scan last longer, and you can make your passive go out first. So basically, with perks, you're going to be able to get closer to getting old Seer back, which if you played this game back during old Seer, you would understand just how strong he was. But I don't think even with perks, we're going to see old Seer. So I'm comfortable with B, and I just think Seer is going to be a better Bloodhound. In my opinion, at least. Moving on to Valk, I'm giving her B. She's very standard perks. Basically, your passive will last longer and your ultimate will go higher. Valk's perks are basically just making Valk back to old Valkyrie. But I feel with the way the game just plays out now, and especially with the evacs, I still just don't think Valk is going to be that relevant. She's just a character where if you're good at playing around her ultimate, she'll just be decent. Moving on to the last 2, we have Vantage. I still feel like Vantage is not going to be good. I would say Vantage's only notable perk is when you shoot someone with your sniper, you will be able to use your tactical again immediately. So say you relocate with your bat and you pull out your sniper and hit somebody, you'll get your bat back immediately so you can jump again. I think that's going to be really good for moving around very often in fights and never letting people catch up to you. The problem is I feel like Vantage's utility just doesn't contribute enough to a team to make her really compete with anyone above her. So yeah, I don't think Vantage is horrible, but I just don't think she really compares. And Wraith, I'm sorry to all the Wraith mains, but Wraith might have gotten some of the worst perks out of the entire bunch of Legends. So I'm putting Wraith C tier because she's already really not used outside of just pubs for the most part and by movement players. And her perks are basically just cooldown reductions, and one of the other ones was you can make your tactical go off slightly faster. So it's going to be more similar to Wraith's old phase, but it's still not even instant. I don't know, I feel she kind of got scammed on her perks, but what can you do, you know? Not everyone could get the best perks in the game. That is the end of the tier list, and as you have noticed, I don't have a single legend in D tier, because I feel like every legend's perks were enough to the point where they're not completely useless. I just think some legends are either slightly or much better than others. But that is all I have for this video, and we will see everything in Season 20.